tudo bem com vocês? E sejam bem-vindos a mais um episódio de Lendo em Inglês com o livro The Star Shepherd. Pessoal, estamos aí começando, Passamos da metade do livro aqui, mais ou menos na metade, mas hoje a gente vai passar. Estamos no capítulo 19. E se você é novo aqui no canal, vou deixar aqui nos cards a playlist para todos os episódios, o episódio 1 ao 18. A gente tá lendo esse livro em inglês, eu leio em voz alta no intuito de ajudar vocês a praticarem a leitura. Então eu sempre deixo a legenda aqui para quem não puder adquirir o livro, que tá aqui o link na descrição. Vocês podem treinar a leitura em voz alta. Depois de escutar o episódio todo, vocês voltam, deixam o vídeo no mudo e leiam as legendas em voz alta para vocês treinarem a leitura em inglês, tá? Eu leio antes em voz alta para vocês irem pegando a pronúncia, mas a ideia é que vocês leiam em voz alta também o capítulo para poder vocês irem treinando a leitura, e ao ler em voz alta vocês também treinam a fala, Vocês vão treinando aí a musculatura do rosto, da face, da boca, a ir pronunciando os sons da língua inglesa. Então não deixem de ler em voz alta depois de já ter escutado como que se pronunciam as palavras. Então vamos lá. Chapter 19. Cairo yanked his arm out of Domon's grip. What are you talking about? The large man shifted from foot to foot. Come with me. I'll explain everything. Captain Salvan rolled her eyes, but nudged Cairo toward Domon. Go, she said. We'll keep the villagers away. Get to safety. With a last look back at the others, especially Andra, Cairo set off with Domon, following him down the alley towards his cottage on the edge of the village. Before long, the cottage and its metal roof came into view. Domon held the door open, checking to be sure they weren't followed by any of the other villagers. Cairo ducked inside with Cypher at his heels. The inside of the cottage was filled with ironwork in much the same way Cairo's home was filled with clockwork. There was a metal table with wrought iron legs and crafted chairs next to it, and metal sconces illuminated the room. Domon offered one of the chairs, but a frantic energy now possessed Cairo. Domon had information about his father. Sitting was impossible. Wait here, Domon said as he hurried into a back room. When he returned, he was carrying a rucksack. Cairo eyed it curiously. Well, Cairo said, what do you know about what happened to my father? Domon sank into one of the metal chairs, rubbing his hands over his craggy face. I'm sorry, Cairo. I lied when you came to my shop and asked if I'd seen Tyrion. He explicitly instructed me not to tell you anything. Cairo's knees turned to rubber. He sat quietly on a chair, his face twisting. What had he done to make his father mistrust him so? He'd tried to be a good son. He'd done everything Tyrion asked of him. He'd sat by and watched as his father spiraled deeper and deeper into his obsession and farther away from his son's reach. None of it mattered, not to his father. All that mattered was whatever mission he got into his head that he needed to fulfill. Cairo didn't realize his fingers had clenched into fists until Domon's large hand cupped his shoulder. Don't blame him too harshly, Cairo. In his mind, he did it to protect you. Protect me? Cairo sputtered. From what? The Vizsla have returned, the sky is falling, and someone is stealing the stars. If he really wanted to protect me, he would be here. I don't disagree, but he was very insistent when he left. I figured it was just another of his larks, some silly idea he'd gotten into his head, and that he'd be back in a day or two. Domon let out a breath. But Tyrion has been gone much too long. It isn't like him to leave his tower unmanned. The stars mean everything to him. I fear something's wrong. Someone needs to go after him. A chill made its way down Carol's spine. Dolman's words hit on his secret fear, the creeping thought that had been prickling at the back of his brain every day since his father disappeared. Only something terrible could keep him away from his duties for this long. "What can I do?" Carol asked as raw, biting helplessness spread through his gut. "We'll go after him. He told me he was planning to return to the village of Romvi. We should start there, and..." Dolman held out the rucksack to Carol. "He left this in my care. I haven't opened it, but I think you should have it." Carol took the rucksack, equal parts curious and furious. It was as though his father had abandoned him all over again, leaving nothing but questions behind. Cypher nuzzled against his knee, and Carol absent-mindedly scratched his dog's head. But before they could discuss the best road to Romvi, echoes from the streets beyond Dolman's door startled them. It was the unmistakable sound of an angry mob. Carol tensed in his chair. Dolman leapt to his feet. "Go, Carol, and grab what you can from the pantry on your way out. Quickly now, out the back. I'll catch up to you when I can." Carol obeyed without question and fled out the back door, Cypher matching him step for step. At first, he wasn't sure what direction to go, but he decided on north and ran as fast as his legs could carry him. When the mob reached Dolman's cottage, Carol wanted to be as far away as possible. But as he approached the village gates, a new sound reached his ears. One small voice, growing louder by the second. "Starboy, wait!" Carol turned in amazement. There was Andra running after him, arms waving. "What are you doing here?" Carol asked when she stopped at his side. She wrinkled her nose at him, only slightly out of breath. "I'm going with you, of course. Dolman told me you're headed to Romvi. He's still busy keeping the villagers occupied. You're not going alone." "Andra, you've already gotten in enough trouble because of me." Carol desperately didn't want to go on his journey alone, but he couldn't help feeling somewhat responsible for Andra's recent spats with her father. "No, Carol, I got in trouble because I chose to help a friend, and I choose the same now. But my father is a fool, and really I think he's frightened of you." She pushed loose strands of dark hair behind her ears. "I'm not scared, and I'm ready to help. This is my choice, not yours." Startled by the force of Andra's conviction, Carol smiled gratefully. He really didn't want to be alone, not for this, not anymore. "Thank you," he said. "We should get going then?" "Definitely, and as fast as possible." Together they ran through the gates, Cypher dodging between them, and disappeared into the forest. Gente, a Andra vai ajudar o Carol aí nessa saga, procurando o pai dele, né? Onde foi que o pai dele se meteu e o que tá acontecendo com o pai dele, o que tá acontecendo com as estrelas, gente? Por que as estrelas estão caindo em grandes quantidades e quem tá roubando essas estrelas, né? Não parece que são só as Vislas, né? Que são os monstros malignos aqui da história. Então a história tá começando a empolgar um pouquinho. Eu sei que é uma história mais infanto-juvenil, mas é bem gostosinha de acompanhar. E para quem tá aprendendo inglês, livros assim mais infanto-juvenis com capítulos curtos são bem melhores para você ir treinando sem se cansar muito, né? Então é isso aí, espero que vocês tenham gostado. Se você gostou desse episódio de Lendo em Inglês, clique em gostei, que isso me ajuda bastante. Se inscreve no canal e envia o vídeo para todas as pessoas que você acha que vão conseguir também melhorar um pouquinho a leitura, melhorar o vocabulário, melhorar um pouquinho da pronúncia em inglês ao acompanhar os livros aqui dessa série. Quando você compartilha os vídeos do canal, você me ajuda bastante, então muito obrigada por compartilhar. E a gente vai continuar aí se vendo, né, se falando e lendo em inglês, lendo em português, fazendo as resenhas de livro e um pouquinho de vlogs também, de vez em quando eles aparecem aqui no canal. E a gente vai continuar fazendo esse conteúdo aqui nos próximos vídeos, pessoal. Então, até os próximos vídeos. Tchau!